my education into nursing. And so I've been nursing for almost 15 years. I started off in an endoscopy clinic, moved on to community nursing, going to people's homes, providing specific nursing care. And then from there, went into long term care. And each of them has their own wonderful aspects to it, along with all the stressors that go with it as well. And I certainly did not learn to really do much in the way of self care for myself until I entered into the coaching world, which is what I'm doing now. I am still doing long term care nursing as well as the coaching. So it's very different now because I know self care practices and I have a better handle on knowing myself and what I need to do for my self care. So, Berenice, or AKA BB, I love that. What does self care mean to you?
Self care means to me minding your body and your mind. Both of them work together. You have to take breaks. Breaks are one of the most important things for self care. I believe that you need to rest enough. For some people, that is good with 7 to 8 hours of sleep in a night, but other people need little breaks throughout the day. Um, I've read somewhere that focus only work for real for up to 90 minutes straight, and after that, you're supposed to take a 15-minute break, which
Mhm.
none of us ever do. But now in my coaching career, if I'm not actually in session, I do try to always take those 15-minute breaks because it gives my brain time to rest, reset, and start over again anew. Besides that, I think energy work is amazing. Being careful and mindful of your vibration and of how you absorb and how you push out your energy.
Absolutely. And to add to that, energy is everything. That reminds me of grade 9 and 10 science, where one of my science teachers, he was big on energy, talked about energy and molecules and the speed at which molecules would vibrate with one another. And that's what energy is, it's just vibration. And more to what you were saying about taking breaks throughout the day, you know, I didn't even take breaks in my nursing career until I was about 7 years in. It's like get up, go do the day, and just person after person after person, and you take your break at the end of the day, and that really wasn't serving me, and it wasn't serving my family, and it wasn't serving the patients either. Because if I'm running myself so hard, then how can I give 100% to myself of myself to the patients that I'm providing care for? And more so, how am I going to give anything to my family when I get home? And that was one of the tipping points for me when I, got into, well, started feeling burned out. Was I started noticing how I'm coming home from work and I was pretty much a zombie until, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, at which point I would feel a little bit more awake. But then my kids have gone to bed because, they were little then. And I'm awake for a little while longer to go to bed and do the same thing all over the next day. And I was on that hamster wheel for, I don't even know how long it was before it's like, stop and take a break. And when I did start taking that break, what a difference it made. What a difference it made for sure. Self care to me, I'd say it is energy, but I think self care is also a lot about understanding who you are and working towards living consciously. What does that mean?
Yes.
Well, go ahead, say you look like you got something to say. So go on that, Bibi.
I'm just agreeing. Go ahead. Go
Okay, great.
ahead.
What is conscious living? Well, to me, conscious living is bringing what our subconscious, which is in the subconscious, up to the surface and working through it. Well, our subconscious mind is 90% of who we are, right? And the part that we're working with most of the time is the subconscious mind. We're on autopilot. Have you ever felt like you were on autopilot? You drove yourself to work and you're like, how did I even get here? Because your mind was somewhere else, but your subconscious mind got you to work anyways, right? It's when we're trying to set goals and say, I want this, I want that. That is the 10% of you, which is your conscious mind. But the thing is your subconscious mind is what's really driving the bus. So that is what conscious living is all about, because when you can bring the subconscious programs, or what's another word for it? Because not everybody's familiar with programming, but it's the patterns, it's the cycles in our life that we're not aware of until we are, right? Like I said, I wasn't taking breaks, but then it finally dawned on me that, oh my goodness, like I'm a zombie every single day. So I had to do that for a while before I got to the point where it's like, this isn't working for me. And so my unconscious mind was letting me know, this isn't working for you. This isn't what your values are about. Your values is your family. Your family is everything to you. And if you're just being a zombie at home, that's not a part of what's important to you as in your life, right? That's what it was for me. So that's how I relate bringing the subconscious mind and bringing our subconscious thoughts to the surface and then working through that so that we can be living consciously. And it all comes to energy, right? Because it's our emotions. Our emotions are in our physical body. Our thoughts become things, and they do this because there's a chemical reaction in our body when we have our thoughts, right? So these are what's driving our behavior. And then it gets stuck in the body, and then we start feeling pain, right? We're hunched over, we're depressed, we're anxious, we're nervous. Like our feelings is really what drives how we are and how we show up in our everyday, which comes back to energy. Right?
Yes. And I think you're right on point, and I agree with it. I would add that when we can bring the unconscious mind, which is 90% of us, right? It's like, JJ, can you please not make so much noise? I'm sorry. I have a 5-year-old in the house. So if, okay, baby. So if you bring the unconscious, which is 90% of us, it's like considering us from the neck down. And the conscious mind is 10%. That is just us from the neck up. If you take that perspective, when you can bring the strength and knowledge of the 90% up, you expand. You're so much further along than people that only access the 10%. That's why ENLP is such an amazing work, and it brings so much benefit because it allows you to access parts of yourself that usually stay hidden in the unconscious. It's things that we don't deal with. So for me, consciousness is bringing it all and being aware and mindful of what we're doing and what we are accessing within ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because when we're only working with that 10% and we get triggered, we are being reactive in situations. But when we can bring that trigger to the surface from the subconscious level and gain awareness around it and process it. And the reason why it wasn't processed in the first place was because there wasn't the resources available at the time that the trigger or program was installed into the nervous system. We're going to release the negative emotions from that are of releasing blocks and triggers. It is absolutely incredible. I love it. It's one of awesome tools and techniques that we use. It helps people release anxiety. It helps people move things that they feel are like they identify with. For me, I used to face in most of my healthcare career, most of it was facing the world as if everybody was my enemy, specifically my colleagues, that nobody liked working with me. People didn't like me. Then when I did this technique, one of my coaching colleagues releasing that people don't like me,
Mm-hmm.
gave me permission to release the negative emotions attached to that limiting belief, let it all go so that I can be connecting with my colleagues. I can be making friends with my colleagues. I can be working in a team instead of saying, you know what? Team is spelled with the letter I. Because that's who I used to be totally. It was like me. It's like everybody needs me. And there is no team here. Like I was totally rejecting the whole idea of team because I felt totally alone and isolated because I didn't believe that people liked me and that all of my colleagues were just naturally my enemy and out to get me. So releasing something like that was so paramount to making that positive shift in my life. And I have been soaring since and connecting with people. I've also moved forward from paralyzed social anxiety. Doing something like this, absolutely not. There's no way that I would show up online doing a live with other people. There's no way I would have done half of the things that I've been able to do when I was suffering with my social anxiety. So, how do you find, BB, that releasing blocks and triggers has been effective for you?
Oh my God, like I am a different person. I was someone that would never be on camera. I was scared of showing my like of showing myself of I hated my voice on camera. I would never get recordings. And now we're live, you know? It allows you to do things that you can't because you're scared, you're ashamed, you're fearful, you are angry at yourself at times, because you see yourself through lenses that are negative lenses. And that brings about a lot of negative feelings about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And releasing the guilt of, what if I make a mistake? What if I trip over my words? I don't have that anymore. I feel safe and comfortable to be myself and to express
Mm-hmm.
myself. Am I gonna make mistakes? Oh yes. But now I believe that mistakes are missed takes and we learn from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I used to think that, I was very shame based before when I was holding on to that limiting belief of people don't like me. I felt like everything was wrong with me. If I didn't do something right, like I was holding on to that perfectionism was huge. And if I made an error or a mistake, I would shame myself and crawl into my little hole and I would just want to die and hide from everybody. And I really did hide quite a bit. But now, if I make a mistake, it's a missed take, as you said, Berenice.
Mhm.
It is. It's just a mistake, and we do make mistakes. We're human beings. We're not meant to be perfect. And I love what Brene Brown says, being perfectly imperfect. And each of us is, and we are perfect with our imperfections. And that's
Yes.
what makes every one of us authentic and beautiful and incredible beings is all these little nuances that make us perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say here some of the self care practices that I put into place for myself. And I know now because I've learned about myself, if things are going on in my world, I'm getting stressed out and some time has lapsed, I reach out to one of my coaching colleagues for that support. And my coaching colleagues are excellent because when it comes to coaching, we are forward focused. We are solution based and we are looking to establish a solution and moving forward towards creating the future that you want. You do spend some time working on whatever the problem is, and you get to have that opportunity to express yourself and process what it is that you are feeling. But then the coach shifts you into finding your own solution. So that's one of the things that I do. I find that journaling on a consistent basis, it doesn't have to be daily, but journaling on a consistent basis really helps me to work through my stuff. It helps me actually process the things that are bothering me. If I am angry or upset or I'm triggered by something, I journal like you wouldn't believe. That pen to paper is so cathartic. And as I'm doing that pen to paper, it's like, oh, yeah, I have that light bulb moment go off in my brain, and it's like, okay, I see my mistake here. I see what I've done. I see what I could have done better, and I see what I can do better. However, with that journaling process, if I'm still stuck in that angry frustration, then again, I'm going to go back to seeing one of my coaching colleagues to help me work through it. One of the other things that I know that I need to do for myself are hot baths. It helps me release the energy and allows my muscles to soak and relax. And I actually visualize the hot water like really just penetrating me and taking all of the negative energies away, and visualize all of that being flushed down the drain once I get out of bath. And one of the other things that I do is yoga. I love hot yoga. It's incredible. I love it. I get meditation, deep breathing exercises, and my physical activity all in one. And last but not least, I know I keep going on here because my list just keeps growing and growing, but playing with my puppies, right? Playing with my puppies, taking my dogs for a walk. They are my four-legged babies. My children are adults now, so I got dogs. So I play with them, and they bring me so much joy because it is so important to have joy in your life and be having fun. I do have more things, but I'm going to shift over to Vivi so she can share with us the wonderful things that she does for her self care practices.
For me, one of the big ones, and thank you, one of the big ones for self care is love. Whoever knows me knows that I'm always talking about love. I always have a smile. I have a loving attitude. It's part of me. I love the vibration of love. And
Mhm.
a very, very important self care that I take as self care because I know that my mind and my body needs it is hugs, kisses. I'm always hugging and kissing my son. We are extremely loving towards each other because there is studies that says that you need 8 hugs a day to be happy. 8 hugs a day. And I make sure that I get those. I make sure that I always get those. And puppy hugs or animal hugs count. They work as self
Awesome.
care too. Besides that, I love journaling, like you said, because when you're writing down your experiences, you can reflect on them, you can structure them, you can plan ahead. So for me, journaling is incredible. I do not do it daily, but I do it 5 times a week. And if I'm going through something that is stressful, usually I will journal more. I will journal even more than normal because it allows me to experience the moment, experience the situation, and move past it. I don't
Mhm.
like getting stuck into problem. I like thinking solutions. And when you write down your things, you can see solutions easier than when it's just thoughts going on in your mind.
Mhm.
Um, Besides that, showers. Like I love to take a hot bath, but for me, I love the cleansing thing of the water falling in my head and just washing away all the negativity.
Mhm.
Um, shielding for me is very important. I do shielding all the time. If you follow me, you heard me talking about my bubble before. It is part of my shielding, and I will share that technique later on, not during this live, but I'll later on share that. I love the shielding technique, and it does create a bubble around us. And on that bubble is where I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, and that's where I like being. So shielding for me is a must. Um, Besides that, I do like to take care of myself. I like getting my hair done. I like getting my nails done. I like doing things like that. But I understand that that works because it makes me feel better.
Mhm.
But it's not something that is gonna mentally help me deal with issues or deal with problems and find solutions. It's just, it makes me feel happier. And being happier and being in a positive vibrational mindset is super important for self-care, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you were mentioning about the getting the nails done, it reminded me that, it is wonderful to do those things, and it's great to get your nails done. It's great to get a pedicure. I love pedicures myself personally. Even getting a massage, like those things are awesome. But self-care is, having boundaries with people, right?
Mhm.
Having boundaries so that you're making sure that you're honoring the time that you need for yourself. That's one way of self care. And like you said, Berenice, like love, self love, like loving yourself and making sure that you're filling your cup and getting your love language totally filled, which is for another conversation for sure. Um, is so important, right? But it's also about, self care is getting to the root of conflicts, like understanding why you're having conflicts with certain people, which we discussed briefly what we do with our journaling. But sometimes getting to the root, you need to talk with somebody else in order to find out what's really going on, so that you can get to the root. Um, and as we were saying before, like sure, our nails, getting our nails done, meditation, yoga, these kinds of things are helpful for our self-care, but they're not going to be an ongoing, what am I trying to say here? It's not that they're not ongoing in helping you with your mental and emotional wellness, but if we're only slapping on the band-aid by doing these things, then that's not helpful, right?
Yes.
Getting to the root of what's going on in certain circumstances that are causing a person to feel depressed or angry or frustrated more frequently than they would like to. If it's something like it's hanging there in the balance and they're always angry, they're always frustrated, then there's things that are going on that you can get to the root to and let go of that so that you can continue with the yoga, the meditation, and all of these other things that are going to support you in gaining and building resiliency, right? So it's that whole piece about self love, because all of it is self love, right? Exercise, yoga, and I mean, what's the saying? Our shoes, I'm just totally going to sabotage that saying. And there's no one size fits all, right? Because everybody is unique, everybody is different. And it really comes down to knowing yourself, having awareness, knowing yourself, loving yourself enough to do what it is that you need to do for yourself, and then accepting who you are at the core, accepting who you truly are at the core.
Yes. Beautifully spoken. Yes, yes, yes. While you're talking, I thought about some things that are very important for me that I haven't mentioned before, which you brought up before: yoga, movement. Doesn't matter what kind of movement you do, as long as you are moving. Um,
Mhm.
for me, movement gets in a lot with playfulness and having fun with my son and doing walks or playing in the park, playing ball with him. Something. It's a type of movement. Sometimes life gets too busy that I cannot go to the gym and work out for an hour, but I can add 10, 15, 20 minutes of some sort of movement. And that is very important. Drinking water. Oh my God. I grew up without drinking water. I used to drink soda all the time. And that is a big, huge no no. Yes, soda is good, but you need actually water to make your body function properly. So if
Mhm.
we're talking about self-care, something that I added in my regular routine that makes me drink more water is every time I leave the house, I have a water bottle with me. I carry it everywhere. It's always with me, and I drink several, at least 2 liters of water a day. And usually I get closer to 3 liters a day. But just doing whatever works for you, like you're saying, that is fundamental. There is no I'm gonna give you this recipe of self-care and after this you're gonna get a grade A+. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to know what works for you and fit it to your needs. Everybody knows that self-care is about your body, your diet, your mind. Working on yourself will always help you in different ways. When you work and you increase your awareness and you increase your self knowledge, you can then grasp better what are the things that work for you and what doesn't, and not push you into being uncomfortable at situations that are not going to be beneficial for you. So, yes, I think the biggest tip in self care is get to know yourself so you know what is important to you.
With that said, keeping in mind that anytime we do try something new, it feels uncomfortable. So, as a part of my self care practice, I am learning and have learned some of getting comfortable with feeling uncomfortable because that's how I know that I am growing and expanding. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. It was great chatting with you, BB, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
You too. This has been awesome. See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye. And thank you all for everybody that joined. We were planning on doing a live with both of us interacting on it, but that didn't work for technical issues. So I do apologize for being just me on this side and you guys hearing Jackie speak on her side. I hope you enjoyed. This was our first live ever, my first live ever, and it was very exciting. And thank you for the support of being here. Muito obrigada a todos que vieram, foi um prazer tê-los aqui. Obrigada por nos acompanhar. My little one. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate. Have a great night, everybody. Sure, I'll just here. And okay.